Today is Tuesday, Parashat Terumah. The parasha of this week tells us about the contributions for the making of the Mishkan, of the sanctuary that traveled in the desert. And the parasha begins by listing the materials that were necessary, and then it goes into the construction of the Aron, the ark where the tablets of the Torah were kept. And the pasuk says, "Ve'asu Aron atzeh shitim, amatayim v'chetzi orko, ve'ama v'chetzi rohbo, ve'ama v'chetzi komato." And they shall make an ark made of acacia wood. The plural form of the verb here, they shall make. The rest of the vessels and the rest of the items in the Mishkan, it says ve'asita in singular, but here is ve'asu as plural to indicate that the Torah that is kept in the ark really is the property of every single Jew. That the Torah is not just for some selected individuals, but it's rather just like it was given on Mount Sinai in the desert, in a no man's land that belongs to anybody that wants to come and acquire himself of that, or to be present there would be allowed. Also, the Torah is for every person, every fellow Jew, to come and acquire himself of the Torah, or acquire the Torah rather. So that's why it says ve'asu. Also, it indicates that it's a project that is done together. You don't study Torah just by yourself. You study with chevruta, with another person. That is a team. You create a team to learn Torah together. Or teacher and student. There's no way to learn on your own. You need a teacher so that you can really learn it in the traditional way. But not just that. The same way that a teacher benefits the student benefits the teacher. Like it says in the Gemara, I've learned a lot from my rabbis and more from my colleagues, but the most I've learned from my students. So this is a project that is done, the learning Torah is done together, ve'asu in plural, not singular. And it's something that belongs to every fellow Jew. It's not just to one singular person or a select few. Then the measurements of the Aron are all given in half cubits. 2.5 cubits by 1.5 cubits by 2.5 cubits in height. Why all in half cubits? Well, this is to indicate that no matter how much Torah you've learned, you still only half. There's always more and more to learn. Also, the other message here is that to learn Torah, you need to be humble. Humility is a necessary ingredient to learn Torah. And that's why Moshe Rabbeinu, who brought us the Torah, is known as Anav Mikol Adam. He was the most humble of all people. And then the way that the ark was made is really 3 boxes, one within the other. One made of gold, within it a box made of wood, and then within it a box made of gold. So there's gold on the outside and gold on the inside. To teach us also another important principle. To be honest, a person who learns Torah, who's dedicated to Torah, his inside should be the same as his outside. Not just a fake front, but rather to be honest, and that the spirituality that you reflect to others should be something that also is within you, rather than just having a pleasant face on the outside, but to harbor ill feelings on the inside. It should be toho kebaru, as we say in Hebrew, which means his inside the same like his outside. The inside is gold, the outside is gold. They're both equal. Then the Aron had these rings with sticks that went through them, badim, lo yasuru mimenu. They cannot be removed from them. They're always together with the Aron. And again, there is a certain symbolism here. Number one, that those staffs, those badim that support the Aron, that carry the Aron, are representative of the supporters of the Torah institutions. That they shouldn't separate from them. In other words, they should continue to support Torah institutions so the Torah can continue to be learned and And on the other hand, the people are learning the people who are learning Torah in the Kollel or wherever they're involved in the learning should also not be separate from the supporters. They should teach and inspire and contribute to the spirituality of those who support them. But there is yet another message, and with this we'll conclude, that the sticks that were there in the rings of the Aron were always ready to be carried, to indicate that no matter where we are, where we're to travel to, in whatever country, whatever city, and not just in the desert when they traveled from one station to another on the way to Eretz Israel, but no matter what country, what place the Jewish people end up being in, the Torah is always ready to be carried with them, because it should be with them any place, any time. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.